You guys, welcome to another episode of Self Rebellion. My name is Imdat, and thank you so much for joining me. So, it's officially been a month since I started Self Rebellion on the podcast platforms, and it's been such a joy, I think I wanted this episode, the 11th episode, to be something so big, maybe incorporate a video aspect, but I just haven't been compelled to record anything. And I remember recording and deleting because it just didn't feel right. Until this morning, I've been reflecting quite a lot about how humans also humans just force us into these shells of ourselves when they behave inappropriately or are being untrustworthy or just some aggression, of sort. As a person, I'm generally open to meeting new people, learning about people. I love people. I love getting to know people and welcoming them into my space and just loving on them. It's like a nature, I don't know, I'm just so drawn to people, and I suppose to a certain extent they are to me too. But the more attention you get, the more people you attract, and not everyone has good intentions, and I think what I've been struggling with lately, and I suppose for the longest time, is being able to decipher if someone has good intentions or not. I think the first time I really doubted myself and my ability to judge people's character was after a friendship breakup, and this was a friendship of almost 10 years. She was literally family, So when that fell apart, I remember just feeling so displaced and not being anchored. I think for the longest part, our friendship anchored me because we did everything together. Most weekends were always together, would plan our lives together. I was dating at the time, but it really didn't feel like it because she was still, an important person in my life. It didn't feel like I was missing out on the friendship aspect because I'd really invested in spending time with her and being with her and doing things together. So, yeah, she really was my family. But after that friendship fell through or fell apart, I was just so displaced. I remember trying out new friendships and all of them not feeling right. And, I internalized it for the longest part. I thought, oh, what is so wrong with me? What am I doing so wrong? Clearly, there's something here that isn't working or that I'm not doing right. Especially because part of the reason the previous friendship ended was because I hadn't verbalized myself effectively. I mean, there were certain things that I'd verbalized which I wasn't happy about, but it just built up for so long that eventually I exploded and it was too far gone to rectify anything. And so when I started new friendships with people, a part of me was still silencing myself because I was just so scared of losing those people too and what that would mean about me. Like, was I the one in the wrong? Was I unlovable, So I went through that for a while, and I suppose there were like friendship glitches. When you're fitting a shoe in a store and you finally find the one that truly settles. I think in a way I was doing that process to try and figure out which friend would feel like a part of me, which friend would fit into my life and, would become family. So I did that for a while, and it really was an uncomfortable process until I realized that maybe I'm not just going to find the one friend, I'm going to find multiple friends from which I can derive various things from. I do realize that in the previous friendship, I'd probably settled quite a bit and molded myself to fit the other person's interests more than my own. There's certain things that we shared and that we had in common, but there's also other things. They're going out, for instance. That wasn't something I enjoyed, but I know she liked it. So I did quite a bit of that. And I realized with new friendships, I think I want to be true to myself. I want to be a bit more honest. But that was scary in the beginning, because I thought, I may face rejection over this. I may not truly find acceptance or find people who truly know me. But I've really found so much value in having multiple friendships, or I don't even want to say friend groups because they're not always in group settings. But sometimes I do wonder, like, I often say I'm a low maintenance friend because I'm not the let's talk on the phone every day type friend. I'd be exhausted by that. But when I am there, I'm fully attentive, I'm present. Maybe except for when I'm at Rena's house, because I fall asleep. I literally fall asleep when I'm in that girl's house, and I don't know what it is about her house that just allows me to sleep. But yeah, when I spend time with my people, I'm truly present, and I give them my undivided attention, and I'm there because I enjoy spending time with so many of them, and I just want to know them and, share myself and as they share themselves too. I love that. I just love that deep human experience. It's beautiful, right? But I find myself lately being vulnerable to people who may not necessarily have good intentions. And I think because I've met most of my friends now that I currently have through social media, or our friendships have grown through social media, even though we may have met each other offline, I do open myself up to meeting new people online. But I realize not everyone has good intentions, and I'm not always able to decipher that from the get-go, because I like to give everyone the benefit of the doubt. I just always, think the best of people. But recently I was scammed by someone I'd considered, a friend. And yeah, sure, I got my money back eventually, but that was after I made a public spectacle, which I didn't enjoy, because while I may be sharing my personal life publicly, I don't find joy in being catty and fighting publicly, especially not with women, But all of that has made me so guarded, and I don't enjoy that. It feels like a violence of sort, like an assault. It's just unfortunate that there aren't any physical ramifications to it, but emotionally, I am hurt, I think I'm still trying to process that, but at the same time, it feels like I'm being dramatic processing, I also think back to some of the people who were friendly or wanted to establish friendships, which I warmed up to, but those never worked out. It feels so hurtful, guys. I don't know how to explain it. It's like, that sucks, opening yourself up to someone like that and sharing yourself with them only for them to turn around and, do something so, I want to say aggressive, but such a big betrayal, you know what I mean? It just makes you question yourself and your sense of judgment. And I feel like I'm back to that many years ago when that friendship fell apart, because it was like, why? Not in a victim mentality, but I remember as I was starting to or fitting, new friendships or potential friendships to try and see which one fit, and things never quite worked out, and there were dramas in between. I would just think, oh my goodness, why? I don't have the words for it, guys, but it just hurts and it sucks. And I'm like, do I have space to be mourning a friendship? Especially one that hadn't fully developed yet. I understand with my 10-year long friendship, but with these small ones that feel like mini betrayals almost, why am I so touched about it? Why am I so sad about it? I can just get over it, dust myself, and be more guarded next time. And I don't even enjoy being guarded, guys. It doesn't feel natural to me. It feels like I'm limiting myself, almost, it's so unnatural, because my natural disposition, I think it's just to be embracing people, but I'm realizing that may not necessarily work in the long run because there's all sorts of characters, and unfortunately I have put myself out there publicly, and I need to be a bit more guarded about who I let into my life, which also feels weird for me because, oh no, I don't know why I'm taking this like in such a difficult way. I don't know also why, I think the question I kept asking myself in this girl was basically robbing me off of my money was why, like, what was that about? Not necessarily her doing, but me. Why did I put myself in a position where I could be, shortchanged like that? I know better, I'm in IT. We talk about cyber threats all the time and, potential crimes online, and this being one of them. And I think the reason it hurt so much is because it wasn't the first time that I was being, robbed within a space of a month online. The other time was when I was trying to buy a dog, and obviously those people were scammers, and I suppose being emotionally vulnerable made me vulnerable to that, hacking, or it wasn't even hacking, actually, it was a scam. But it made me vulnerable to being scammed like that because I just really wanted a dog. And that emotional vulnerability then played in their favor. There's certain things I questioned. Even with people, I suppose, there's certain behaviors that I think, I'm not sure about that. But I never want to be so quick to judge people and label them red flags and whatever terms we use to call people bad when they're just being human, And I think a part of me also doesn't want to write people off. Like, I think we've become so intolerant as a society that we don't give people grace to err or make mistakes. We're just so quick to write off, and that's part of the reason why we struggle so much with developing any substantial friendships, because you only want to find people who are aligned with your values or thoughts, and as soon as someone deviates from that, you're so quick to cut them off. Even family members or people with different political views, we just cut them off. We don't coexist with them anymore. People's views automatically make them bad people, and we can just remove them in our lives. And I suppose the technology of this generation allows us to do so, but it's not a sustainable practice. I think it's only further dividing us and making it harder for us to learn from each other, to find middle ground. Because if I never get to learn from someone, where will I learn? The algorithm pushes people and things that already align to my thinking. So I'm never going to learn from that. Like, no one is ever going to convince me online otherwise, except for the people in our personal life. But if we've wired our lives such that we only associate with people who think like we do, are we ever going to learn then, So yeah, I don't know. I think in part, everyone is inherently good, Deep down in their heart, they're good. Yes, they may make mistakes or error and whatnot, but I'm realizing that may not necessarily be the case, even with women, especially with women, because, guys, I think so highly of women. I love women, but being scammed by women or like being treated poorly by women just hurts. And I think I am hurt. I've tried to suppress it for a while. I downplayed it because I thought it's not someone I've known for a very long time. It was an online friendship or whatever the situation is. But yeah, man, I'm hurt, and it even feels silly to admit this because I remember someone asking me, has you met this person online, like outside of, social media before? And I couldn't answer that. And I was so ashamed to admit that I hadn't. But at the same time, like, I couldn't take away the fact that I had established a serious bond with this person, you know. And to finish my thought earlier about what that was about, like, I kept asking myself, like, why would I put myself in a position where I could be scammed by another woman, potential friend, you know? Like, am I lonely? Do I not have friends? Like, what is happening? Because I do have friends, and I love my friends, and all of them are, like, beautiful, and I love my life. I wouldn't necessarily say that I'm lonely. There are times when I want partnership, sure, but I wouldn't say I'm walking around so lonely and, like, willing to fill that gap with just about anyone. There's so many people who've propositioned me otherwise, and I probably would have settled with one of them by now if I was so desperate for that kind of connection. But I don't know. I just feel like, am I naive? You know? How do I get over that naivety? Because, Sana, it's not serving me. And I do not enjoy this feeling. Yeah, I don't know. And I don't know, like, I hate that I probably have to be a bit more guarded. It's probably the only way to mitigate this happening again in future, you know. And as someone who has established an online community to connect with people and create a safe space for us to exist, it's going to be interesting to see what being guarded looks like and drawing boundaries with people I don't know looks like, because that's how I've built, you know, that community. That's how I've built that space. But now to also feel like I'm policing that space, or like removing myself from it, or protecting myself from that space, and people who don't have good intentions there, is going to be really challenging, especially because the reason I think I connect with people in the way that I do is because I come as myself. Like, there's never a part or a point where I feel like, I need to put on my online personality and I need to put on my offline personality now that I'm not on the screen anymore. I just come as I am every time, you know. So being able to draw that distinction is going to be a very interesting journey, and I hope you guys will bear with me and show grace, because it does suck when things don't always turn out as you had envisioned. And yeah, anyway, this was such a downer of an episode. Nothing cheery, nothing jolly or exciting. I don't know. I suppose I'm just lamenting being scammed online. But yeah, guys, I hope you're gonna be really good people and good friends, and try not to scam people online. Yeah, I don't know how to end this, so I'm just gonna end it here. Thank you guys for joining me. I hope to see you at the next episode. Bye.